Well, I woke up with the idea one day, as I often do with weird off the wall ideas. I thought, wouldn't it be super cool to have some kids, teach them to write a screenplay, have them act in it, have it filmed, and show it on a big, cool movie screen?
So, what was it like at the after school sessions with the kids?
Oh, it was wild and crazy and fun. The kids were super excited. We had 2 hour after school club for 8 weeks consecutively. And it was super incredibly busy, but also really fun.
So, our final script, how much of it is yours and how much of it was the kids?
Well, these are fairly young children, so a pretty large portion actually is mine. Probably 90% in this case, maybe less. The way we went about it the very first session, I just kind of got to know the kids, their hobbies, their interests, their sports they play, what kind of music they like. And then I said, okay, guys, we're going to make a movie. What should it be about? They threw out a lot of random ideas. One kid said time travel. I said, cool, I love time travel. Another kid said, I want to be bad teenagers in detention. I said, cool, that's the opening scene. So I kind of started from there with the writing, and then I had them have input, like they came up with the reasons they were in detention. And they came up with some, lines of dialogue here and there. And then at the end, they came up with some reasons they were glad to be back home.
If you remember, what were some ideas that were thrown out that you were like, nah?
Oh, things like I wanted a dog, but my mom wouldn't let me get one, that kind of thing. Or I wanted to go on a trip to Disney World, but my dad said we have to wait till next year. Very kind of mundane, things that happen when you're in third grade.
So, when you were writing it, I would imagine you didn't write it like linearly, right? Did you write like a plot outline before you wrote the actual script, or did you just like have it all in your head and like roll through it?
I am not an outliner, and they used to call it back in when I got my master's, they said either you're a pantser or a plotter. Either you outline and plot or you fly by the seat of your pants. I'm the fly by the seat of your pants. So I did not have an outline. I just kind of thought, okay, we're traveling back in history. I think one kid did say the Titanic, which is how we came up with the first location.
Would you say that time was a big limiting factor in putting this program together?
Time was incredibly short. This was a prototype, the first class that I've done of this sort. We could use probably another 2 after school sessions, and the filmmaker could definitely use more time. At this point, we had 6 hours, well, actually 7 of filming. We could have used probably 11 or 12 hours of filming. It started to feel very rushed because we had parents waiting.
11 or 12 hours does seem a lot of time, or even 6 or 7 hours seems a lot of time. But then you consider like pausing, like people not knowing their lines.
Right, yeah, there were a lot of pauses. These are fairly young children, so they quite often froze or just didn't know their line.
Were there any mistakes or challenges along the way, and how did you overcome them?
I'd say the main challenges were logistical. I originally had intended to do the program by myself, and thankfully a friend I hadn't seen for years called me and asked if she could volunteer, and I said of course. It was really hard getting the children quiet enough to learn the lines or to write the script. Kids of that age are really excitable, and there's the added dimension of, they're going to be on a big screen, they're going to have a red carpet, they're going to have paparazzi. So the excitement level was so high that it was really difficult to just kind of corral them. As the filmmaker saw, it was like herding cats.
When you were a kid, would this be an after-school program that you would join? Because I know for me, I would have loved being like in something like this when I was a kid in elementary school.
I would have loved this at any age, I think. Elementary, middle school, high school. In high school, I lived as far away from the school as you could live, right on the boundary line of another county. So my parents were always all about, you can pick 2 things to be in. That's all we have time to drive you to. And this probably would have been a big priority for me. I was always creative, writing, music was my thing, art. So yeah, I would have loved this program.
You mentioned your assistant, and there's actually a very interesting story on how that came about. So tell me about that.
Well, I met Tammy. Her maiden name was Tammy Brain, and I always enjoyed that name because she was a good brain, still is. We met at about the age of 12 or 13, and we were very opposite in personality. She was always commonsensical. I was always the wild and crazy one she was trying to tether in. So we hung out a lot until about the age of 20. And after that age, life took us in totally different directions. She moved away. I think we saw each other maybe twice through the years. We got together for lunch or for dinner, but we hadn't seen each other for ages. And she saw a Facebook post about Script to Screen, called me from out of the blue one day and just said, "Hey, I'm kind of bored. I'm not working much. I live really close. Can I come volunteer? It sounds really fun." So thankfully, because I'm telling you, it was a lot of work.
Even though it is a lot of work, do you think this is something you would want to do again? And how likely are you to do it again?
I totally want to do this again. I really want to do it with all ages. I think it'd be really cool with high school or middle school. And likelihood, I think, depends on feasibility as far as how far, we would travel and, if schools or summer camps have budgets, because sadly, when you spend a lot of time on a thing, unless you're wealthy, you still kind of have to make a living. So it depends a lot upon budgets. Luckily for this one, the kids were totally funded by 2 foundations, the Bridegum Family Foundation, which is Decca Batteries, and also the Kutztown Community Partnership.
If you were to do it again, would you rather do it at the same school or go and find a different school?
I think either one would be a cool option. I mean, I feel fairly familiar now with Greenwich. The staff was fantastic. The principal, Matt Pyle, was really excited about the idea. So he was super helpful logistically, like unlocking the gym, the cafeteria, the library on Saturdays when we had to film. He also played a short cameo role in the movie, which I think the kids are really gonna love.
Who knows, some principals like Mr. Geiger at my school might not be so into that.
Yeah, Mr. Pyle was super cool, and I think he had a really good time playing his small part in the movie.
Most importantly, when does the movie premiere, where is it premiering, and who's supporting the event?
The movie premieres at the Strand Theater in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, April 25th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And support for the event is coming from all over the place. As I said, the Bridegum Family Foundation and the Kutztown Community Partnership funded the entire program. And I approached a couple businesses in Kutztown and was able to secure donations. So we have pizzas from Camillo's, we have drinks from Wise Markets, we have cookies from the Cottage Bakery and Cafe, and I had a local high school student named Claus Rodriguez Galan design a really cool poster. So Kutztown Printing printed up some of those posters, including a big window poster. And we're hoping the marquee might have our movie title, Imagine All the History. And the kids are really excited. They're going to dress up. The Strand Theater has ordered a red carpet for the event. They're going to walk the red carpet. They're trying to get Kutztown University students as paparazzi. And we're going to have a total party. It's going to be super cool.
So after spending all this time on the movie, how long were you wanting the movie to end out?
I was really hoping the movie might be 45 minutes. Even an hour might have been cool, but it ends up being maybe 30 minutes. I think in the future we'll make it longer as far as class sessions and filming, and then ultimately reach 45 minutes to an hour. Maybe even in the future, 2 hours. That's really ambitious. But, you know, with high school or college students, I think that would be possible.